ไม่ต้องอะไรมันครับดังพูดอย่างนี้ดัง
Okay. It needs some time to activate. Okay, students, welcome to the second part of this morning's lecture. And it's the first research method class. And today I would like to share with you some of the case studies you could learn from our previous former students. Okay, that today I will select two research work to show with you how they have done. Okay, some examples of building technology and innovation cases. So actually, before I move to the case studies, I would like to mention about nature of research in this field. Actually, you have learned from the beginning of the class that there are several types of research, right? And I picked some. I believe not every research has a single method or one type. Of course, architecture department is more multidisciplinary. Therefore, of course, it should be a combination, kind of combination of scientific procedures that integrate human experience and interpretations. And this is more like the procedures, of course. First, we should define series of questions. That is the most important. What kind of questions? Nah? Or issues or themes or problems that you could occur from review of literature or from exploration with other people or interviewing or from your work experience. So, or from social or today's social problems. So it depends how you would like to frame your questions. That is a very critical part. And the second, of course, when there's problems, you could set the aims. Without aims, okay, you could go on, and you never know what could be the boundary on the end. So I would say, okay, the aims. But along the way of your studies, of course, you could maybe figure out or discover something new, something different. Of course, you can tell about the aims to be able from your heart. What is it that is your goals or your dream to support, who you are and to help. Okay, and then later you specify research context. What is the significance of what you're doing? Is it worthwhile to do for whom? Now, sometimes you just want to do it, but nobody wants. Alright, you just want, hey people, I want you to use this. Sometimes in reality, you never know if they really want or not, or is it useful for people or not. So it's important to find the significance of its outcome or of your work's contribution. After your work is done, then who will be able to use it? How important it is? How it will solve? You check back to your research questions if it really responds to your questions. And then the last is you could select the proper research methods. See, research method doesn't come first. You should have your own thinking, your own questions already. And then in order to come along with results or with the findings, you should select proper research method. Where Adanti have already mentioned research method could be qualitative, quantitative, or combinations. Okay, and I believe in architecture is a kind of combination. So could be combination of various types. For example, most of the work in building technology and innovation is more in this. Okay, applied research. I don't talk about basic research because it's more very basic, fundamental, like quantum physics or mathematics. That is not our level. Our level is more like applied research. These are to solve practical problems that meet human needs in developing innovations. So this is applied research. And what about practice-based research? Practice is more important in this case, a form of inquiry into creative practice or production to make the practice better. All right. And the third is action research. Now, actually, there are more. I just mentioned about something that is related to this field. Action research is like exploration aims to facilitate organizations, social or cultural changes through participatory, where I believe in architecture and in social, maybe in raw field would involve more in action research, where you involve with a lot of people and have the comments or input from social, from the people. And I think in most of the work it should involve the end users in somehow, more like combinations. So I select Alvaro's master thesis in the topic is Probing New Directions for Sustainable Building Design Pedagogy, and the second is Hosner's master thesis, Poetry of Daylight in Islamic Architecture in Isfahan. Okay, so I will show the two slides. Okay, this is our work. Okay. So Alvaro, he finished his final presentation already the last semester, and now he's on the process of writing a journal. So his interest is in education, and also he was our former lecturer here at School of Architecture and Design, and now he works at REDEC, and his interest is in education and sustainable design. How he could improve quality of education in the awareness of the student, and how he could integrate into learning. And then so I will show you his process of work. This is his third presentation. I didn't have his final presentation. Actually, he recapped the aims all the time. Okay, like I said, we should know the aims of the research. So every semester he recapped, very quick. So reminding us what he wants to do and what are the processes in the presentation. So he would like to access current status. So in order to work, we should learn the status. What is existing status and what could be the future? What else? And to invite stakeholders. So to invite stakeholders is what action research, right? To have design participatory, the inputs from stakeholders, and then what else? To capture and synthesis contemporary stakeholder perspective to improve our own curriculum. So, so these are the overall of his work. First, with overview of the research and who he could select as stakeholders. Not everybody. We have to set a criteria in order to see if those people are representative of your target groups, for example. And also research method and data, and some of the further method that he's going to do for the next semester. Okay, so he structured the thesis into three parts, which is first vision to think how we can build a vision. Second, after we build, how do we know if it works? So he think about to validate it and then to get the feedback. Anyway, this is the overall thesis structure. Okay, and it's a combination of qualitative and quantitative design in his case. The first part is to get information by interview and questionnaire. So questionnaire is more like quantitative, right? Quantitative because it comes in numbers. How many subjects? So we need to know in statistics at least how many subjects and what kind of method in statistical that we need to use to analyze, to validate. And then interview current students and professors, and this is to come up with some common idea and what their concerns. Is the first one. This is vision building. And the second is, so after they find something for not only students and professors, the stakeholders as well. Stakeholders in building industries, including educators, contractors, building materials. So many people who involve our students, not only students and professors, and some experts for the future, both in Thailand, majority in Thailand, and also we have experts in Europe and regional as advisors as well. So after that, he concluded to have something in common. What would be the direction? What are the most concerned and least concerns? And then the second one is validating. So in fact, he wouldn't summary from this finding. He set up a panel. There will be experts. I mean, he set up experts from in this field, both practitioners and educators from Chulalongkorn, from KUTT, Kasetsart universities, and visionaries people. So he set this one and let them rank the findings in 14 categories and let them rank to confirm the findings. This is also a quantitative technique. And the last, he even can conclude, but in fact he would like to get the feedback from the society. So he invites people for roundtable discussion from stakeholders in order to hear the result before implementing. And after get the result, they have student, professor discuss the findings. This one is qualitative technique, more like to hear, to see what is good, what's not good, if we are going to implement what happened. So this is qualitative in order to be a feedback to review final input. So this is overall research structure of our work. Yeah. So it sets of, this is the first part, sets of stakeholders, which have students, teachers, sustainable building experts, international comparative studies from other universities, and industry. Okay, this is there to have the Q is questionnaire, I is interview. Why interview here? Why questionnaire here? Because when we want to collect more information from a lot of people, we could design a quite simple questionnaire so that they can rank. But interview, we need open-end and we need to have face-to-face and discussion to get the feedback, their thinking from hearing that. So you see that he select interview for experts, sustainable design experts. So that is the method that he chose. And I think this is quite appropriate. And the vision validating, instead of conclude from the previous study, he validates by having the result from previous section to put together into questionnaire for Delphi or panels of experts to see their opinion, to validate the results. After that, to hear again from stakeholders again to discuss. This is qualitative method. These are some of the part one, like quantity of questionnaires and interview, for example. The interview, we don't need that many. For academic, we select. Actually, for statistical t-test, it should be more than 29 subjects. So also, if you have less subjects, subject is number of people. If you have less subject, you could use some other method for statistical analysis. This is a research outcome from different people. After that, the gathering of information into table or matrix will help you to organize information into the readable form and understandable form. So what are existing and obstacles to change, future ambitions. So he tried to categorize information from the result. Research method. So you see part one, quantitative and qualitative, for whom. And part two, qualitative interview for whom. So this is more systematic study. Some results from questionnaire from different questions, and he could summarize into ranking, average ranking, yes, no, how many percent yes, how many percent no, something like that. So yeah, and then rank the findings from the more important to less important. So actually there are much more information. I'm not going to talk about the content. I will talk about the process, otherwise it's too much. Too much for you, it's a lot for you. Okay. And questionnaire are part two, like that. There are many parts of the questionnaires, right? So how many students and how many percent agree or disagree, from the least used to more is better technique. This is a better technique, like people teaching technique, for example. Okay, people teaching technique. What are kind of teaching techniques that students prefer? So students prefer presentation, guest lecturers. Yeah. So. Okay. Part 3, prefer classroom physical settings. So we talk about curriculum is not only the way of teaching, so we have to define like what are components, so teaching techniques, physical content, so define like that. And so it reflects into questionnaires. Okay. Okay. So a lot. I have to go faster. And also questionnaires from instructors, like that. And then also comparison between students and lecturers, if they agree or synchronize or not. interview. So also interview all stakeholders. Research outcome for interview. So the area of research for interview, and this is the detail. So he tried to group the concerns. The first important, second, third, and fourth. Okay. Otherwise, it's too much. We have to really group and see what is related in order to cope with information. When we have a lot of information, we have to really categorize and make a common and grouping. So this will be much better. Okay. So actually, he's not interviewing all the questions to all stakeholders. Some selective area screen out to interview with the proper people. Okay. For example, when he asked industry who use our students after they graduate, what kind of questions we look for? We have to see, okay, what are the market needs? For example, competencies of students, industry perspective regarding sustainable status in Thailand, existing and future collaboration between industry and academics. So we have to really select proper strategies and questions for proper people. And okay, he came up with some observations and tried to put into 4 categories and put in the matrix, like put in the matrix like students, stakeholders, and the topic. And then he put all the details, the view from students, the view from instructors, the view from industry, something like that. So you will see how to do. And then in summary for the first part, interview and questionnaire. And then after the finding from the first part, he came up with statement, like 14 statements, the finding, and to select the Delphi method in order to put this one for experts to read and say which one is the most important and least important in architectural sustainable design curriculum. So these are the questions. I go faster. Okay, this is a kind of simple questionnaires. But if they want to look, because when we put questionnaire to people, we have to make it simple. Otherwise, they will throw away. And if they want to read details, we have appendix at the end. They can read in detail. So this is in the form of there. Okay. From the Delphi panel, okay, he selects some experts who has been recognized in this field. So that is his work. And after he took the questionnaire into statistic method to look at for the mean, and to try to interpret information or standard deviation to see if information goes together or not. So it's more combination between qualitative and quantitative techniques. And at the end, after this, he organized kind of round table. Yeah. That's all for our Rose work. Any questions on his work? So just to give you an overview, but not the content, it's too much content. So first, to collect data. Before collecting data, of course, he had to read a lot of review of literature. Because when he came up with questionnaires, he doesn't start from scratch. He starts from the findings from previous people, but they have done in Europe, European countries, not in Thailand or Southeast Asia. So he has that as a starting point, and then he organized interview structures and questionnaire structures. Yeah. So it's more qualitative and quantitative things. Then question, maybe question, maybe.
Maybe I would like generally to talk about the end. How did he know when he answered the question, or if he answered his own question or not? How did he know? How he proved it, or how he tell people?
Yeah. So actually I think his aim is in the very first part. He would like to improve the existing curriculum into the international to the future. He doesn't really have differently. He doesn't set specific goals, but at the end he would like to get the findings. So actually the answers from stakeholders really answer what he's looking for, which is he's find the future. He doesn't put anything yet to lock himself, more freedom, and then to let go of the result and learn from the result.
Okay, so this is important for you all, that you need to know the question, the method to answer the question, and you need to know when it has enough result so that you report, that you answer some part, at least some part of the questions, So it's important when you plan your research. You cannot just plan question and method to answer, but you have to really expect the result, how it would say or how it would end. At this, in this example, he looked for some kind of guideline or information, and he found all the information from literature review, from stakeholder, from different part of stakeholder, and different depth in each stakeholder itself. So you see that he used of both qualitative, that is interview and interpreting interview, and quantitative, that is statistical correlation.
Actually, a lot of discussion have to be done between advisors and students as well as industry, because people will ask, how do you know this is I can trust the result? How do we know that you don't make it up on your own? Okay, so he has enough questionnaires as an evidence, and what else? Use the statistic, and also the feedback is, how do we know that the result is refined, or we can trust the result? How can we know? And so that's why he had the experts panels to repeat, and then after that, how do we know that it will work? The result will work. So he invite stakeholders to discuss as a roundtable qualitative to actually to confirm the finding that is okay, can be used, or is in the market demand, something like that. And I will show you the second research. Okay. This is poetry of daylight in Islamic architecture in Isfahan. Okay, Hosna Damle, she's from Iran. She's from Iran, and she's an architect. And she's interested in Islamic architecture and daylight in there. And she thought, she's appreciate Islamic architecture, but her hypothesis is that is there a way to utilize the mood or effect of Islamic architecture, traditional dissemination, into the new architecture, into a new way. She would like to study the effect of the shadow and shade and the brightness and perception and see and analyze what makes that effect so that the result can be utilized, can be used in the future design นะคะ as a guideline for Islamic architecture into a modern way. Now she's returned back to the country. So research objective is she would investigate the difference between, or she select 2 mosques because she knows, because she's Muslim, she knows that that's difference between the great mosque, which is the bigger one, and the mosque which used for praying, the smaller one, more public and more intimate scale, larger scale and intimate scale. To investigate the relationship of opening, materials, colors, to make the different atmosphere according to activities and daylight. So try to see what makes that from different variables in architecture. So how that she needs to study this. So she actually has background in architecture and she took daylighting course to learn what are importance in contributing the effect in interior. She investigated the human perception. This is more qualitative technique and more action research. Okay, perception in Islamic architecture according to activities in space and daylight, and to suggest the application of the finding. So that is her objective. The significance. Significance is, like I said, the aim is to provide some knowledge and to acknowledge the importance of daylight in Islamic architecture, and will be able to provide the guide for interior or architects in doing Islamic architecture in modern spaces. So this is the picture of both mosques. So Lin Hui, have you been there? No, never.
2 mosques in which country?
2 mosques that she select. Why she selected these 2 mosques? The one, I think the bigger one, is more like famous tourist destination as well as the World Heritage Architecture, where it has a very nice lighting effect inside, and the other one as well. So but different scale. So actually, she looked at her research is more like a holistic approach, looking at not only the lighting level but also the technique as well as the meaning of the Islamic mosque, the meaning and the walking facade, something like that. Okay, I move quickly. Symbolic meaning of the site, because cultural dimension involves a lot in this case, นะคะ So I just show you the overview of the mosque. One is blue mosque. The blue is not only, it's actually, as I remember, she said that the blue is the animal peacock color, and this color, I believe, is the more like a ray. Anybody is Muslim in this room? Yeah, it has been a long time. I think I remember it's the color of peacock and the animal of the Islamic god. Yeah, that's why when you go to Dubai, Middle East, you will see peacock in the palace. or somewhere. So I was wondering why. So I went from there. So a lot of bluish, greenish color. Okay, and it's closer to the heaven. That's what mentioned. Also, exterior dome within the holy structure indicate general spirit in this shape. Anyway, this is more like a review of literature. She tried to review the components of the mosque. What are important components? The entrance, the mosque, the dome, the lobby. You see, she tried to analyze what are the component and physical. Okay. All right, and then some case studies that she selected, the small one and the larger one. It's nearby. It's nearby. Actually, the small mosque and the great mosque is nearby. What are her research methods? Okay, first is more like an action research. She went to the site, she interviewed with the people, and also she measured and take a photograph for the first one. And the second one is to do experimental experience survey and to interview with the people. All right, I move on. And she actually went to not only interview people, she also measured what's going on in lighting in the space. These are equipment that she used. And not only the equipment that she used, like a photo and measure, she also take a photo and analyze using the software to analyze the brightness in the space. What's going on? Why we look, why we like it? What is the ratio of the brightness in the space? This is more like quantitative technique. In order to help to analyze why people feel with this and that. So it's complement between qualitative and quantitative technique. I move on. So she tried to analyze, okay, the entrance, so different paths, actually try to see how people walk, how people will experience from the entrance. From the entrance, they have to walk here, but cannot come here. Walk, but see, and then they have to walk to the very small walkway and dark walkway, and then at the end they see the brightness. So actually the sequence of walking is kind of human experience too. Like why they want to see the brightness and then darker brightness to keep people smaller and then keep them exciting at the end. For example, this is the experience of light in the Islamic mosque. So like this, this is the way they really intentionally in design. In fact, when people come, they can come here right away. But no, the old wisdom, they wouldn't let people just walk in. They let people from the public and walk in the very bright, in the public. How can they make people quiet from very public to the praying space? They need to keep people quiet and calm by let them walk at a certain distance, but they can see but cannot get in by the screen, by Islamic nice design screen with the dim light and then more light at the end with this window as a language. So they know that, they have to walk here, calm down with the very nice filtering screen and quiet, and then come here and see a very nice surprise with nice lighting here. people keep quiet and they could pray. And this is smaller mosque, small one that people can focus. So this is the combination of qualitative and quantitative research. Okay. I move quickly. So she tried to analyze the brightness to see the contrast, more bright here and there, to see that they control people's behavior and feeling by light and material. So she analyzed along the walkway, different walkway. This one, how it look. Like this, you see filtering screen. And once entering the main mosque and try to see the effect of light and analyze the position of the opening and the season of the praying season, location of the sun. So she tried to analyze what's going on and come up with the findings and recommendations. So actually, this is where the brightness is, and actually the sun can come here without turning on the light at all, without turning on the light. Outer view. Okay, this is the outer view. Okay, where they have to pray. This is brightness by the position of the opening, to make it bright, to be able to focus. And that is the dome. People are able to see the beauty of the roof by the small opening in the reflected light, dim light. This is entrance view from the outer. Okay, and then using the photograph luminance meter to analyze, this one she used several tools. Luminance meter to analyze the brightness, comparing with the HDR image to validate if the quality of photo is usable. So. So, interview together with the measurement and analysis of architecture and material, you see the process. And this is the larger mosque. Okay, you see, she tried to analyze the elements of architecture and the viewing angle. You see the light, you see the elements, and the brightness. Okay, I move on quickly. So she does this for all places and both mosques. So many times she found that the mosque, it looks spiritual because of the brightness is totally dark and totally bright. High brightness contrast could create silent space. Not everything bright for the smaller mosque, but for the larger mosque, I will show you this smaller one. I keep looking. And not only that, she looked at the solar position and the opening and the thickness of the wall, the effect. The thickness of the wall, the solar position, as well as the building elements, how it affects the look, the lighting into the interior. This is the bigger or smaller mosque. Yeah, like I said, Muslims have considered that the peacock as a heavenly bird. That's why it related to peacock's patterns. Used as a painting symbolize gatekeeper and guide to the heaven. So it's important that people will be able to see what's on the ceiling by the opening. Okay, I keep moving. You see, sometimes it creates quite nice lighting texture. And sometimes with the thicker wall, it helps to soften the light, and that's why it has thicker wall and also for structural purpose. And the filtering is also to prevent from the sandstorm. So this is more like a holistic approach rather than only lighting. Okay, the analysis of the solar position on the brightness, where she see the brightness here. This one here, and this one there. I believe she tried to relate to the time of the day of praying and season. I don't remember what time that they pray. Yeah, she tried to analyze the opening, both observation technique and measurement technique together. Okay, and the larger mosque, this is the larger mosque. The larger mosque she analyzed, okay, it's right there. The larger mosque, basically the difference between larger one and smaller one, she discovered was the brightness inside. It's not totally focused, it's quite bright because it's more for the public, not too much focusing, just to look. That's why it's not, doesn't keep quiet. The brightness is more like uniform, it's not focusing pattern, that's why, okay, she can see it here. Try to relate with the pattern of use, analysis of the viewing angle is brighter. Yeah. Yeah, when she tried to analyze why it's brighter because of the opening. Is more, the brightness is more, and the wall pattern is more, and this is more for the public, not for private. Okay, like that. The bright is brighter than the previous mosque because of opening size and locations. And try to analyze and compare between both mosques what happened in terms of brightness ratio. So she discovered that the larger one has more, this is the brighter than this one. This one is less bright. This is the smaller one, the larger one. the numbers of measurement นะคะ confirms that the brightness for the whole year of the larger mosque is brighter than smaller one นะคะ and confirm that it's synchronized with the activities, praying activities and its position of the mosque as well นะคะ so that is her study นะคะ and not only that she try to see the viewing angle from standing point and from sitting point, praying because they sit on the floor and pray. What they see, they try to look. This is what they think. So she tried to say that okay, light is enough. And how it makes the mood, what kind of elements to make that mood and that effect นะคะ Okay I think that's all the presentation work from her so in summary of her work so she could answer her curiosity of her hypothesis, that what makes light could make importance in the perception in Islamic mosque, and she tried to set up the variables between larger one and smaller one, and the variables come from other previous studies, what makes that effect, and try to relate that to the interview and also to her own observation. So this one combine between qualitative and quantitative technique นะคะ using scientific to support the argument. Any questions?
You can also share what you think about your research question with Adam and with our classmates, and maybe relate that to the example if it's similar or different.
Or you can use some of these into your open studio activities, like to talk to the people, making interview or observation techniques, to get information, to get the problems, and to try to set what are variables you should look, in the innovative district, for example. Like, okay, physical road, what else? What are the functions and activities? And then this is from your observation, and perhaps you could talk to the people for action research, like, how they perceive and what they think about the space. And after that, you can maybe grouping the findings, and you will see what are the most important and less important, and see what can be done for your open studio or your research. I also would like to talk about my own thesis ละกัน my master thesis. My master thesis, I couldn't find the file, too long. My master thesis at that time, I studied lighting at Penn State University. I thought, they have the standard. They have standard for lighting level recommendations, but for the West, I know that they have done questionnaires a lot for the Western people in lighting level for office, for industry, for everywhere. But I thought, if can we use this standard in Thailand is my question. Is there any difference between Asian eyes and Western eyes? Is there any difference between culture? Any cultural differences? So I conduct a study on the glare perception between American and Thai. So at that time, I select the time that new people that just arrived, for the new semester. I just ask them to be my subject. Not to let them too long. I don't let them adapt their eyes too long. They come newcomers, direct newcomers, new students, and then compare with my classmates. I asked my classmates to do as a subject to compare between the perceptions. I had two things that I would like to, that I studied. The first is the preference, the brightness preference between American and Thai. Is it different? And then the threshold of glare. Because sometimes some people say this is glare, some people say this is not. So I try to set the threshold. I have the experimental setup in the laboratory. I let them sit and, okay, of course, consent questionnaire, because I do research with the human, of course, it's the university's regulation. I cannot do without any permission from the university. I have to write the procedures like, this is what I'm going to do. I will let people sit and look at the line, at the stimuli, and do the questionnaires. How many subjects, and I send to university for approval. That I can do this with the human. Okay, after they approve, I can do. But then when the subject comes, I have to have consent form. What is called consent form? They have to read. I read for them too. I read, okay, this is the research under me, under Professor X, under what topic for my research master thesis. And here are the procedures, A, B, D, D, the procedures. Then they are hereby to read and sign, to sign, to acknowledge that they are willing to do this research. Sign. And then I said, okay, this study will be confidential in the laboratory for educational purpose, something like that. And then I conduct the study after that. Okay, so I believe I have about 20 something subjects for Thais and American, and compare two things is the glare threshold and the preference. And what I found for the preference is not different, because I use statistical method, the t-test, to see the correlation is it's going well between Thai and American. I mean that the standard could be used, but the glaring, I found that most of the Thai people said with the same brightness, American said it's too glare, too much, but Thai people okay. Then and to relate to the eyes, yes.
Even in my office, I do my school ID rules, and with the architect rule, prefer in different level of
Okay.
and we select the different level of the curtain.
I see.
Also,
Yeah.
because for our rooms, we think that is very effect to
It's too
our
much glare.
screen.
I see. Oh, affect your computer screen.
And even the color of the work that we saw, because we work with the graphic work a lot, and with the color.
Very good point. In my questionnaire, I have to let them fill in what are the major, what is their work, what is their age, are they wearing glasses, because these factors are important too. Like because you work on the graphic, of course, the precise, the accuracy on the screen is more important than architect, right? You have to compare the color and cannot have the disturbance from outside, right? Something like that. And the older age, as for the older age, will say it's glare more than the younger eyes, because then their eyes, the lens is old and the lens has like a diffuse.
We are older.
And why? Okay, I said okay between Thai and American. Okay, I found that the pigment in our eyes is black. The pigment is black, and majority my American friends sometimes light brown or blue or grays or differs. So they have a very light pigment that I had my observation that the black pigment can filter the light could help us into the tolerance, or maybe the useless, the use to the bright environment could make us more tolerant to the brighter glare than the American people. That's my, and it's quite fun to do with the people. Yes, that's my my master's thesis. And then I continue my work into glare into my PhD thesis. I did the combination between the scientific, because in master degree is more scientific, is because the degree is architectural engineering. So we concern on a very proper experimental method. And my PhD, I combine findings, I combine the glare with the exploratory, with the, I test with the real people, real context. It's more like a qualitative technique. We interview with the real people and compare with the formula or the findings from previous studies. So it's a kind of combinations of theory and practice for my PhD. And so I look at the glare formula and how can improve. How can I improve it? And then how can I build a tool for designers? So I build a kind of a software for designers to optimize the opening of the windows, to have some more light but less glare, for example. That is my PhD research, which is the combination of scientific and qualitative technique. But also it's interdisciplinary, where I had to look at some algorithm. At that time I used a genetic algorithm in order to predict or generate design geometry. For example, designer said, I want this amount of light, tell me what is the size of the window. This inverse method, so that my software will be able to generate different geometry of the windows or shading device, something like that. That was my work. So I hope to continue on having the optimization into the software later on the website. So that continue to the skills in multidisciplinary. So also you could try to develop your skills in research method and to utilize different method or different techniques in order to help your studies.
So you have like some suggestion or guide the turn from interesting to the topic research. Because I think we are in the period that yes, we have a topic, have an interesting something, but it's how we're going to turn to be the problem or research topic.
Yes, I think to talk a lot to the people, the real users. Sometimes you don't know the problems. If what you think is what other people think or not. What you concern is their concerns or not. So what are you thinking about now?
So I'm looking explore around it. 3D printing or prototyping. So it's quite it's changed from the role, because in the past it's about the part of the ID process of the developing product. But now I think it's quite close to the end user, because the behavior of the user is changed, and maybe it's gonna close to our life more than the past.
Yes.
Or maybe to the future is gonna be quite, it's really close
is your interest in 3D printing?
Yes.
Oh, you could talk to my friend. He has a 3D printer supplier to many people, and his business is under 3D printing. And he gave one printing to Chulalongkorn University, to Visawa, to engineering department. And if you are interested, I can put you to my friend. And the machine is very intelligent. The machine is very intelligent. His machine, for example, whatever the material you put in, it will detect it's resin or metal or plastic. And then it will optimize the software in the machine. It will optimize how they will construct, like to have the legs first, or how big is the beam support to build, because they will know what material. If it's a resin, the way to do is one thing. If it's metal, another thing. Because I told my friend, why not we build our own 3D printers? He said we can build, but more difficult is the software inside. Software that can optimize how to build this one first or this one first. You know, how to cut, you know, when to cut. That is the intellectual properties that is from the European countries. Yeah. I can let you talk to my friend. He's very intelligent.
but I have to say, add to that case that she said that you have to, from your interest, you have to talk to users and people that are in that business or in that project, in that things you are interested, working with that thing you are interested. Why? We have to talk to users how to turn our interest into research question. Right.
Get more idea.
Huh?
Get more idea.
Get more idea. Existing knowledge. Remember that we talk about existing knowledge. So people that use your object or are in the field that use your or have the same problems that you think about, that you interest about. It's an existing resource that you can tap into existing knowledge, what they know, what they write about, what they used to experiment about in that topic or in that object that you're interested in. If you know, and it's the same thing as literature review. If you talk to people, it's one resource. You read about it in the library, in Google is another resource. But it's the same level of resource that you find existing knowledge or existing knowledge about what you interest. Then after that, you will know what left to be done, what left to be your questions, what questions that you still didn't answer by tapping into this existing knowledge. So that will become your research question, right?
Yeah, and you also utilize your what are you good at? What are you good at to support the question, the problems, you know? And if you don't have enough knowledge, it could be in multidisciplinary that you borrow from other fields to help supporting your work into the questions. I have one tip when I work on something new, you know, not many article is available or it's difficult to find resource. Usually there is like a discussion group among experts that they write the questions and write one thing that you know, okay, this is the group that you should be able to find, you know, on the blog or whatever discussion. And another tip is article. At the article, you will see they refer to which authors, and then you could try to search in the reference. You know, those are the experts. and you look at the reference, what kind of articles they write, and you can search to their information in depth. So that are also the trick. Because it's difficult for you to screen out. Sometimes some information is not reliable. You need to be selective. You need to screen what to trust, what not to trust, and use your judgment and know where this information are from. Is it reliable or not?
It's very, very useful when you have something that you stuck at the what process you stuck on your research. You can share to other classmates and we can help you discuss about it out of the exam.
Yeah, much better to talk to your classmate for input. Like in the class number 4, they will present, and then I think they should present briefly so that they get more input from friends, maybe 5 to 8 minutes, and then friends should input. If it's okay, how should we help? Yeah, that will help a lot. What is your background? Architecture, I see. What is your interest? Yeah, what is your interest in doing or in doing research on?
In this 2 years, what do I want to achieve? Is it something like that? What do I want to achieve? So understand the culture more. So understand.
Who else? You can share and you can get help.
Any questions? I know it's not easy. It's not difficult, but the thing is you have to, when you read, sometimes you like it, and sometimes you dream, and then you deep into the other direction. Sometimes, when we enjoy the article, it happened to me sometimes, and my tip is, when you read article, you should know what are you going to get out of this article, and then after you get out of it, you start writing. Otherwise, you forgot, and then you look again, what did I read? I forgot. See, you have to start writing.
This is systematic finding, right? You remember we talked about scientific method as systematic finding and answer. Systematically finding and answer. So what Ajahn just told you to do is that when you find something, you have to record it systematically and take note of your source. Systematically take note of your source. Otherwise, you will, when you try to write it later, long later, or you won't remember where you get the information from. Because since you read a lot of books, you read a lot of articles on the web, you talk to a lot of people, then you forgot. And when it's very hard to try to find the source back. So note it at the early stage of your literature review or finding out an answer.
I suggest maybe you could have one folder in your notebook, maybe a review of literature folder, and you could categorize in maybe interview or urban or lighting, so you know where to find. Otherwise, the management of information is everyone's problem.
You can use folder, you can use that card, and in the old time, I use the kind of library card, similar to library card, but I put topic, my own topic, and the author on that tab, on the above tab. in library card that order by the topic that I interested in, and the author of that finding or that information or that knowledge, something like that.
I think in Acrobat, yeah, it has highlight features or comment feature. You can make a note on that and use search. You can highlight it and try to not to print too many papers.
Yeah.
And you should keep it to the electric form so that you can find it.
Also, there is actually later time I use EndNote.
How's EndNote? I have never used EndNote.
You will have actually the university have the training,
The course,
especially
the
for
course.
EndNote.
I wish, but I never have time. I think you should attend.
Yeah, you should attend, and if I see it later, I will send you all information. But it's a software that especially for literature review, because you can put what you finding just like the library card that I told you, but it's a software. You can put all the information of the paper that you read, and then you put your finding as a note, yeah, and it will keep all things for you. And when you type in the keyword, you can find back your information or your knowledge and source of knowledge by keywords. And it will help you actually if you use it as early and you use it to write your own research. It will help you do the bibliography. At the end, you don't have to do it. You just have to put you have to link the paper to your research in the body of research, and you select what kind of bibliography you want to use, APA or something else, or social method or something else, and you just have a click, and then they will complete the